Hello everyone, this is a tutorial on how to use HutScanner, which is a tool I've developed to help find walkable chains of huts that you can actually book in the app, so for hut-to-hut hiking. Essentially developed this to solve a problem I had where I just found it very difficult to find hut-to-hut availabilities and actually chain them together one night after the other, because there's data all over different booking sites and it's very diverse and a complex problem to solve. So this is the page you'll arrive on when you first go to the web page. You can change your language here. This gives you sort of details about how to actually use the app, but obviously because I'm going to show you in this video, you can skip it for now, but you can return to this guide at any point by clicking the question mark in the top right. So after you close that, you'll appear at Tour de Mont Blanc. So this is always the page that will appear first. So it's obviously a very popular region, but there are lots of other regions around. So you can see, if you click on them here, you'll be able to switch them. There's also a drop-down menu here that will show a list of all the regions, as well as critically which ones have been manually reviewed by a human. Just to make sure all the hut data is correct and accurate, because we populate all the regions with huts automatically, but because the data that we populate this from is it's not perfect data, there can be errors in it, so we want to do this manual review to make sure that the huts are where they say they are and the data is correct, because obviously it's a safety critical thing in the mountains. That said, even in the regions that we have reviewed, we can't 100% guarantee that there are no errors in the data. HutScanner is just a planning tool, it's not a guide, it's not a tour operator. So ultimately, you still have to check these things yourself. You still have to verify the route, not only for your own fitness, you obviously need to make sure that you are physically fit enough to do it, but also the data that HutScanner has given you and the route that you sort of derive from it is functional. At least through my testing, which obviously uses quite a lot, I've not found any errors. That doesn't mean it's not possible. So yeah, obviously mountains can be a dangerous place. Please do your due diligence. But HutScanner can definitely accelerate the process of booking it enormously. So we'll run through the settings quickly. You can see right now that there's a couple of sort of links that look a bit disconnected, so these huts aren't connected. But that's because we have terrain types enabled and disabled, so demanding paths and glacier and alpine both disabled. If we turn on demanding paths, around stack D3, as well as glacier and alpine, so you have to accept the disclaimer here, these conditions can be very difficult. We show all these, we can see that there actually is a bunch more routes now as well. So you can sort of configure exactly what terrain you do in the settings here, and it's a bit basic now, but we are looking to improve this to be much more customizable. So let's quickly go through the hut types. So you can see here that we have a large amount of these green dots. These all represent a hut. And critically, the green color means that they have this live availability data, which is what we've synchronized daily to make sure that HutScanner is actually a useful tool, and you can see it all sort of in a package on HutScanner here. So if we click on them, you can see that if you click availability, it gives you a live availability calendar, and this is the same for lots of different places. Some of them have images, some don't. It depends if we manage to find one. This one does, so you can see the availability. And then that's the green ones, that's the green dots. They are kind of like the star of the show. But there are also still other huts, so you can sort of see that grayed out here. There's sort of orange and yellow ones, and there's blue ones. So to enable this, again, you go into settings. Currently it's set to live, so it's only showing the live huts. If you click online, then it's going to show these blue dots, and these are the huts that are bookable online. And what this means is they have a website where you can actually go and look online and see the booking data there. So while we don't have availability live in the app, if you follow the link here, it will show you a calendar on their site. Then you can actually click on each of the cells, fill it in, to show which days are available, which days aren't available. And then later on in this tutorial, when we get to the automation features and the automatic pathfinders, those pathfinders will respect whatever data you save here. So if you're booking for multiple people, obviously you need to have a check that the hut has that many spaces, because you don't type a number in here, it's just either true or false, available or not. The way to delete this data is if you go into settings, you can scroll down to the bottom and click clear saved availability, so confirm, and that has been cleared. So the next here is just showing all huts. So there's a couple more to explain. Orange just means they're only bookable by email, which means you'll have to wait for a reply. Yellow is only bookable by phone, which hopefully you will get sort of an immediate reply, and at least you can fill in the availability. What I'd recommend is if you do call one of these huts, you could potentially ask for a couple of days of availability, like, oh, what's your availability the week of the 17th? And they say, this is free, this isn't, these are free, that's not, and you can fill it in like that. And the other type is it has a website. There are a couple of huts that I've left as have website just because they're a bit unique. The Goutier hut, for instance, has been removed entirely, and this hut also has just been set as only having a website because these huts aren't useful for sort of chaining together in HutScanner. If you're staying in these huts, you're pretty much going up Mont Blanc. In that case, you don't really need HutScanner because you know what the deal is. We don't want people sort of planning routes through here if they don't have the ability, because especially getting to the Goutier hut is obviously quite dangerous at the moment. That shows all the colours. There is the final colour called unknown booking. That's essentially that we just don't know what to book. But typically, after we've done the manual review of the region, we've removed all of these, either by deleting them if they don't have overnight stays, they might be just restaurants, or promoting them to, has online booking or bookable by email. So there should be very few, if any, black dots that you see in reviewed regions. Wrong button. Go through the settings again. Might remove this toggle, but some of the synchronization with hut surfaces where you can camp for the night, that's not really the intent of HutScanner. So we've turned these off by default. You can turn them on if you want, but because we don't actually look at any campsite only spots, it's a little bit obsolete. So might remove those. What is relevant is private rooms only. So by default, we've turned off having private rooms, just because I think dormitory style sleeping is the more authentic mounted experience. But obviously, if you're a family or have different preferences, you can potentially disable this. But obviously, a private room can be 3 times more expensive potentially. So I'm a bit more price conscious personally. Probably change one day when I'm less price conscious. And then you can also enable and disable different transport options. So it's fairly self-explanatory. We model some of the lifts, so you can see the lift over Mont Blanc here. Actually, you can half through, potentially walk across the massif a long way. Different map styles as well, just whatever preference you want. This is sort of a bit more kind of themed, but I personally like the shaded relief map most. Probably saw me earlier quickly turn this off. I turn this off because I'm not a normal user. Personal analytics will, throw it off from how users are actually using the app. About analytics, we don't collect. They're very non-intrusive. You have no account, there's no personal data, there's no location tracking. They're entirely used to just improve the app. We see what actions people do, but we have no idea who's doing them. It's entirely anonymous. They are entirely used just to improve the app and identify where people are getting stuck. Because I know not everybody if they encounter an error, is going to send us like an email saying, "Oh, this is what went wrong." So this is just a way of us doing that without you having to send an email. But by all means, turn it off. It's entirely your choice. What I would ask is, if you do turn it off and you encounter an error, we really, really, really would appreciate that you send us an email and let us know what happened, or any feedback generally. Because otherwise, if you turn this off, we could have failures and never actually be aware that that's happened, and obviously we don't want that for you guys. So if you do have an issue, you can click report a problem / send feedback, and it will send an email to us. I think I showed this already. Clear saved availability. If you've added manual availability, you can just clear it here. And then there's also a little page about how HutScanner works and our data sources that you can go read through if you so please. So that covers all the settings. Let's quickly just turn this back to online, and let's now actually I'll turn off Glacier as well. Actually look how to book a route, or plan a route even, not book, plan. There's a couple of main ways to do this in HutScanner. If you're very early in the season and the huts have lots of space, then you can potentially just go through and click a hut, add it to route, add the next hut to route, so on and so forth, and potentially have it working. But especially now, it's currently the 30th of July. It's very late in the season, especially since August is literally in a couple of days, which is peak season. It's going to be very difficult to find the chain of huts that works. So there's two ways that HutScanner, or two tools that HutScanner has that can make this easier. The first is sort of the automatic tool. So let's quickly just clear the route here. If you select a hut, any hut or a transport node if you want, you can click find a route from here, and we'll go through the details later, but I sort of see that as the feature where you don't really care where you want to go. You have a constraint of you just need something that works. You don't really care too much. Just find me something that works. And if you run that, it's just going to give you something. The other option is sort of choosing the route yourself and then running an optimizer to figure out the best dates to actually book that. And this is much more of, I think this is the much better feature for me personally, because I would like to sort of see different regions and areas and go to different huts. If you do this optimizer, it's your perfect route with some slight changes to actually make it possible to book. So let's run through how to do that first. So the bespoke special your perfect route, it just starts off by actually planning your perfect route. So let's just throw a quick Tour de Mont Blanc route together. Actually just doing a lap around it. Do anti-clockwise, which I know isn't necessarily a common way to do it, but great thing about HutScanner is it's a network. You can go in any direction. Don't even have to do a loop. You could cross in the middle if you wanted. So if you want to just do a week, you could, for instance, just do a half loop and cross back, and you could pick all that. So let's close the route. This as well. So here you have a fully looped Tour de Mont Blanc route. But of course, if we look at the route, it's guaranteed not to actually have availability. So you can jump through this as much as you want, and it's really, really unlikely at this point in the season to actually find something that works. So yeah, nothing really works there. So how do we make this work? Well, let's click to do quick. In the bottom, there's this find best dates to book button. If you click this, you can essentially set a bunch of parameters for when you actually want to do the hike. So let's just, obviously it's very late into the season right now, so there's very limited options for actually being able to do this. So let's make it a very broad search. We'll search the entirety of August for 60 days, so August and September, basically the whole remaining season. Just do it for one person. We'll allow rest days because Sometimes if you just waited a hut one day, that means the next hut becomes available. And we will allow swaps, and this is a really great feature because it essentially means that instead of just looking for the chain that you've created, seeing if that works, HutScanner will swap certain huts for nearby huts to see if anything works. So that's really good. Obviously, if you enable it, one of the huts that you really want to go to, potentially you would end up not going to. So maybe try it with it off first, see how that works. But especially just to show it off right now, you won't be able to find anything if we don't allow swaps. So for now, we're going to enable them, just because it's so late in the season. And then there's the max leg. So if you enable swaps, obviously there's the maximum duration the leg can be. Note that this is sort of like a soft constraint. If a leg ends up being 8.5 hours, it might still show that. So again, highlighting, it's always your responsibility to check the route, check your fitness, and make sure that it works for you. So let's click find. It's going to take a little while to search because it's searching 60 days and checking many different combinations of switching huts and stuff. And yeah, so here we go. These are all the suggested routes. So I did run this earlier and actually got a entirely green confirmation, which was good to show. Fortunately, I then had a power cut, so I lost the recording, 20 minutes of recording. I'm doing it again, and it's not been as successful this time. You could potentially change the parameters and find ones that are fully bookable. So a fully bookable one means it will all be green and it'll say fully confirmable on the right. But for the purpose of the tutorial, it's actually really good that it's got a blue dot and an orange dot, because it means you can show how to handle when there are these things that you need to check. So let's just select this top one. We're swapping 2 huts. So these are swapping and these are swapping. We can look at the route and see that it's still essentially the same tournament block you had before, but a couple of huts have swapped instead. And then you need to confirm. That actually works. So for Robert Blanc. Well, I realise why this didn't show a route is because we were already at the Robert Blanc, which was already a check availability one. So I probably skipped over that too quick. So when you have the route here, you'll see the ones that aren't free. That's night number 3 here, the Robert Blanc. You can tap it. It'll show this screen, and then you can click View Availability on the operator side. So remember, blue means that you could actually go and look at the availability online immediately. Just we haven't managed to synchronize it yet. So you can go on the site and you can literally look and go, oh, well, the 20th is free, and this hut typically has quite a lot of availability, so I'm confident it is free at the moment. So I'm not going to switch to a different tab. So that's one of the huts confirmed. Obviously, if it wasn't free, you could select it as red and you could actually fill in the availability for all the other days as well. And you could rerun the optimizer and it would give you another suggestion for the route. So the other one is the Benatti, the Walter Benatti. So this is a email only hut. So essentially, to get the availability for this, you'd have to send them an email and wait for a response, or give them a call if they have a phone number as well. And we'll once you actually export the booking plan, it'll give you the phone number and email. So for the sake of argument, let's say you've sent them an email and they've said it isn't available. So let's just mark it as red, and we might not be able to find a solution, but let's see if we can to just show you how that's going to work. So just looking at this, you can see that, oh, well, there's a couple of huts nearby that potentially might be available. If you look at our route, we're staying at Benatti on the 22nd of August. Let's see if there's any huts available. So you can look at this and you go, oh, immediately these are entirely red, which isn't great. It kind of looks like an error, actually not an error. A couple of days available here, a couple of days available here, but none of them have availability on the, what was it, the 22nd. But this actually does. So one of the tricks you could use is, you've selected all these huts with the dormitory only, but if you enable private rooms, you can then look at the lavish and see, on the 22nd there actually is availability. Perfect. So maybe it's going to cost you a little bit more, but here's a way to actually make the route bookable. So to do that, we can just select the lavish, add it to route. Looks a bit funny now because it's added at the end of the route, but if you just click the arrows here, you can move it up the chain to here, and then if you delete the Benatti, ta-da! We have a fully confirmable route. I'm glad we managed to find that because, worked really well last time, and it's worked really well this time. So, but that highlights that even if the route you find isn't, it doesn't have 100% confirmed availability, if some of them are bookable online or you need to email, doesn't mean a route doesn't exist. So definitely have a play around, and this is what HutScanner is really great for. You can very quickly just sort of go on it, see what works, see what doesn't work, mess around, solve problems, and work out an itinerary that works for you. Because obviously, we've had some swaps here when we did the optimizer, and maybe that just doesn't work for you. Maybe you don't want to do this route anymore because of a swap, and you can sort of use this to quickly iterate through that. So after you find your route, first thing to do is you should probably save it. So let's call this TMB and save. And this means that you've got it in your saved route here. If you now clear the route, you've lost the route, but if you go into saved routes, you can just click it again and it loads it back up, as you can see. A quick thing I didn't mention is, obviously we're just showing huts, but Chamonix, for instance, has lots of accommodation typically. You can be fairly certain, obviously can't claim 100% certain, but fairly certain that there is some accommodation in Chamonix. So you could add these rest days, which is it's like an off-network day that essentially you can use when you're planning. So yeah, look here, that works pretty well because we stay here on day 9, and then we've added a rest day for day 10, which would be your day in Chamonix potentially, and then we end up here at day 11, and that's still confirmable, but let's delete that now. So yeah, this is the really great part about HutScanner. Like before now, you wouldn't be able to do this. Like it just wasn't possible. Maybe you could spend days and days and days trying to plan a route, but it just takes so long for a person to do it that if you instead have the data products we have behind HutScanner, we can automatically run these algorithms which will find these routes for you, and I'm very happy with it. How well it works. Finding a route for the TMB that works on the 30th of July for starting on the 18th of August. It's pretty great. So I'll show you the other way to book in a sec. All I'll say is jump to this. I need to stop the recording and start it again because I'm switching tab. But once you have a route that works, click Export Booking Plan, and you can send it to WhatsApp or copy it to clipboard or whatever. And that will give you a detailed list of how you actually go about booking this. Because we plan the route. HutScanner is a planning tool, but it doesn't book for you. You still have to book on the websites of the huts. The only other quick thing I'd mention is when you click, didn't work because I've already done it. The first time you click one of these external links, you get a warning that you're leaving HutScanner. It's outside of our domain. I've obviously done a lot of looking at different hut pages to populate the data. And there's been a couple of occasions where I've gone on these sites and there's been malware. This is obviously not something that the website maintainer or hut warden has done. It's likely been compromised through some cybersecurity attack. And they created a bunch of fake captchas that essentially try and install malware on your computer. So please, obviously we don't control these links and what's actually on them. Please be aware of what you're doing at these links. I have reported the cases that I saw, obviously, but other things could exist. Always stay safe on the internet, guys. So yeah, I guess I will cut to WhatsApp. So here we are on WhatsApp. This is just where I've chose to export the booking plan to. This is what you'll get from HutScanner. It's how you actually go about booking your route, as well as information about it. So 10 nights, 18th to 28th of August. A couple of disclaimers. So before you commit to this route, some of the terrain is difficult. You maybe don't want to take your kids there. We are looking to improve the route grading, but that's not going to happen before we leave early access at this point. Additionally, there's the disclaimer here that fundamentally HUTS kind of helps you plan, but it's still your responsibility to make sure the plan is sound, factoring in that you can't guarantee that our data is correct, so you need to check these things properly yourself. There's also some disclaimers at the bottom about this as well. One thing to note is if you're doing a booking really late or really close to actually when you go, sometimes the HUTs want you to call and confirm availability with them, even if you've supposedly booked it online. So check the websites, read the websites. It's your job to make sure that that works. Yeah, so this is ordered in by priority, not by nights. It's ordered by priority first and then by nights. So you can see that night 3 is the Robert Blanc, but there is no night 3 here. That's because this is the one that you entered by hand, where you have confirmed the availability online. And obviously, maybe you've been using HUTs kind of like a week as you plan a hike, and you put this availability data in on Monday, and it's Friday now. So the data could have gone stale. So the first thing you do is you go to this site, check that what you put in still stands. There's also information to call and email them. This will be the same if it's an email-only HUT. So you can email them again and check things, confirm your booking or whatever. Do that first. If that holds true, you can then move to the ones that are confirmed by HutScanner. You essentially just work down the list. You can go to the website, book for the relevant day. As I think I mentioned earlier, we only synchronize the availability for these HUTs once a day. We would like to increase this eventually, but for now it's just once a day. So there is a possibility that one of these days, maybe this HUT only has one bed left when it was synchronized, and someone's actually booked it throughout the day. It's possible that this will be incorrect. So this is why you have to go through all of these and check first that the information that we have sort of got in HutScanner is not stale. So it can go stale throughout the day. So I think we run the sync early mornings. So if you really want to get the best chance of having the accurate data, wake up and do it first thing in the morning if you're a European. So yeah, it's great. Makes it very easy. We also have a overview of the actual route itself. So you can say if any days are particularly difficult. So the longest day here is 18.8 kilometers at 7 hours 5 minutes, or 80.1 at 7 hours 8 minutes. Obviously we have some equations that calculate the time, but fundamentally if you walk slower it's going to take longer, and if you walk faster it's going to be shorter. So all part of you assessing your capability and ability. There's obviously lots of tour guides out there and operators that will organize this all for you and make sure you're safe and make sure if something goes wrong that you sort it out. We are none of that. Obviously we aren't that. We help you plan. It's your responsibility to be safe in the mountains. If you've never done a hut to hut before, or you don't have experience in the mountains, maybe recommend trying to find friends that can give you the experience and make sure that you're staying safe. So yeah, there you go. That's essentially how you book on HutScanner. We cut back. So there we go. You've booked your TMB route. A grand total of less than 3 weeks before going at peak season. Good job, HutScanner, and give it a round of applause. I don't know if there's any additional features to clarify right now. I think we're okay. So let's just show the grid because it shows how difficult it can actually be to boot these things. Look at this, finding a diagonal path through this is basically impossible. Unless you have HutScanner. So on a HutScan, you can see this is, obviously there's no data for the Robert Blanc, but you've got your confirmed day here. Fantastic. You can also export your Hut GPX. This is currently just the Hut locations, because like I've said, for the leaving early access, we want to revamp the terrain difficulty because we're not happy with it currently. So that will eventually export your routes. And there's plenty more features we're looking to add, like offline maps and everything, all the stuff that people like coming down the line on the roadmap. But currently it works. Yeah, I don't know if I explained that. If you do this really quick, if you select a hut and you see these grey lines, that means that there is a route here, but your difficulty settings and terrain settings have it essentially disabled. So you can potentially go into settings and enable that somehow. You can also just see them as very fake lines always. So yeah, right. Let's go to another region to just see it in action. So one of the regions I really love is the Vanois. This is where I organized my first with my family. It was a big pain. There is a post on the Instagram that shows how I did this with a spreadsheet. Go and look at that. It's quite funny and crude, especially compared to what we have now. Let's have a look at how to do the other method of finding a chain if you want it fully automated. So I did the Tour de Glaciers Vanois, which is essentially a loop around here. That's a really beautiful route. I would really recommend it. Amazing time. But let's see, you can book that using the optimizer, as we just showed for the Tour de Mont Blanc. But let's see what we can find if we just run an automatic finder. So you can select any hut and it says find a route from here, or you can select transport nodes. Only the Vanois has transport nodes currently. We will be looking to add them to other regions. Again, this is for when we leave early access. But if the region doesn't have transport nodes, it's on you to basically say, oh well, I will arrive at the Pansec the first night, and I'm going to park in Oswar and walk up. That's for you to work out. To be improved, it will obviously be improved once we leave early access. So let's just say we're starting from Medellin, because you can get a train to here from I think maybe even directly from Paris, which would be quite an experience. I think also here you can get a train direct from Paris. Let's start from here. All you have to do is click find a route from here. By default, it's just going to loop back to the start, but you can route a non-loop if you want. So if you click route to a specific hut, you can select another hut. So here it has Refuge de Turia, and it's going to just find a route essentially to that hut. Oh, skip that. Whoops. Sorry. I'm professional. But let's go back through it. So by default, we just loop back because you maybe parked your car somewhere, or you have your return train from here, or a friend picking you up, or whatever. You can set all these settings how you want. So if currently flexible date is on, but let's turn it off. We have to start on the 12th of August and finish on the 20th. So that's 8 nights. Well, let's do 6 nights. I did 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 5 nights of the Vanois. Well, let's do 6 nights. Let's set. Oh, so I tried to up the group size. We have another disclaimer that's very important. If you're planning a route, you'll only have awareness of your abilities. You might not be thinking about other people. So please make sure that your team is aware of what you're doing. The routes are difficult, but you have to confirm you understand this. It's a big responsibility to keep people safe. So yeah, 6 nights, maximum day, we'll do 7 hours, group size of, let's say, 4 people. loop back to the start and bookable huts only. No routes available, unfortunately. Let's change the date by 1. Huh. That is strange. Why is that? Yeah, as always, staying safe in the mountain is very important. People do die every year, so we don't want that to happen. So yeah, find the route. Well, let's change the dates because it's reset. But let's just set it as this and find a route. So here we go. It's suggested a route. If you set flexible dates, set a much bigger range, it's going to find you much more routes. So you can browse through a couple of them. You can select it to show this, but if you don't like that route, you can go back to suggestions. That's another one. See if you like that. Don't like that route. Let's say we're just going to go. Let's see this one. Oh, there's a long route, big long route. But let's just go back to the one that's unfirmable. So this is actually very similar to the Turda Glaciers Van Waar that I did. You start off. Well, it's in reverse actually, doing it clockwise. I did it counterclockwise, but you can see how easy it is just to put these routes together. It was done just like that. You set the settings and found what you wanted. Not really much more to say. Yeah. Chain. Looks like you can also do it a couple of days later. There's a section here where you can do it as well. So that's essentially the route that's the option that's just gonna suggest something that works. It's not necessarily going to be exactly what you want. It's, for instance, you maybe wanted to do the glaciers of Van Waar, but it actually loops you like around here. You don't really have control of where it's going to go. And it's pretty difficult to actually make an algorithm that can sort of optimize for your hiking experience, the best hiking experience, because what defines the best hiking experience? Don't know. So yeah, that basically sums up HutScanner. We currently have regions essentially covering the whole Alps. It only shows them within 300 kilometers, which I should extend. But there's a couple of verified regions. That region's not verified, but Otstal and Stubai Alps, they've been verified. Littoral Alps, Karwendel, Bernese Overland, just a bit far away, but Bernese Overland. There's a lot of good transport in Switzerland, so there's a bunch of these transport nodes. Van Waar just shows you Ekrans. Ekrans is verified as well. Ekrans is a bit of a unique region because it's a lot of in and out. It's not a lot of chains unless you have technical mountaineering skills. They've also had flooding, so you can see that there's a warning in some of the regions. We are also currently in the work of expanding to the Pyrenees, as well as the Picos, and we're even looking at adding the King's Trail in Sweden up here. It's a bit of a mix-up, different experience, and maybe parts of Iceland as well. So lots of plans to expand, but definitely want to get you guys using it now because I'd like to hope that you've seen this tutorial and realize that this is solving like a really big problem that not just I have had, but everyone else wanting to do these amazing experiences has had as well. So yeah, that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed. Please send me any feedback. If you think we can improve anything or just general feedback about anything, I literally will take it all on board. It's so valuable to get your feedback. And yeah, all I can say is I hope you enjoy it. Thanks, guys.